few years away. Gordon Brown, then Prime Minister, the promoter was closer to David Cameron and this law. Gordon Brown, then Prime Minister, arrived late with all eyes turning to me as he walked down to the lake. At the reception, I had a brief conversation with Mr. Cameron. I said I hoped he would not be a coming election, but if we did and if we wanted to improve debate and standard in the press, I would support him. For some time, the journalists in me had known that the relationship between politics, the media, and the public. Was not safe in the public. It was my first-hand experience of this developed culture of views and negativity, and convinced me, making more difficult for elected leader to govern. This got worse, hasn't it? He said. I replied that he would be a much stronger prime minister were he to take off not feeling he owed anything to the big meetings. I said I hoped he replied that he Its coverage has been said. Very much At that point, Mr. Murdoch joined us and we changed the subject. Perhaps we should not have done so. That we did, however, illustrated something of the dishonesty at the heart of our essentially political and commercial relationship. It is not easy to do what that militant Labour leader did last week, make himself anonymous one of the media's most powerful forces. He was right that Labour got too close to News International, but he was also right that, given the media bias against it, he knew why we tried to level the playing field. In my own defense, and as my diary shows, I argued for some years with Tony Blair that we needed acting the culture of media. At one point, he tipped me off, asking that I not make views so obviously from Mr. Murdoch, his son James, and Lexington, then chief executive of News International. Ultimately, Mr. Blair thought the press had become a problem, but that given no other priority, people will now understand our taking that on. He also thought it would look like revenge for the fact they had turned against it, and there were political consideration too. Trying to govern an election is hard enough without the press being against you. Except that, for all of us, at times media support was something we credited at the expense of positions, of principle, or media issues, but that trap has now been sprung. The latest revelation have forced the police, News International, and the government to act. The people will now be more vigorous. News International will continue with their kamikaze crisis management, which one day will be studied as a textbook case of how not to do it. But the most important developments are the Prime Minister during inquiries into press practices and regulation. This may we now have once in a generation opportunity for new settlement between politics, the media, and the public. Nobody can argue that we have the press be deterred. Pressure by technological change, a dominant strain of British media has gone into a spiral of decline, in which this scandal is only the most dramatic development. Mr. Cameron did not look comfortable announcing the reviews. He has personal relationship at stake, and given he hired Andy Carson as his communication director, his judgment too. Already the backlash from part of press has begun. They seek to maintain that anything but two slips of regulation is an assault on a free press. But Mr. Cameron must stand back from all that. and ask himself what is the right thing to do. He did some of it last Friday. The judicial inquiry should be far-reaching. The news of the war is far from the law in the use of dubious and illegal practices, as widely ignored report from the Information Commission have shown. Part of Greens media reminds me of the trade union before Mrs. Thatcher. They feel untouchable. As I say above, Labour should have done more to deal with the fear of this. But just as the MP's expenses scandal emerged from the failure of Mrs. Thatcher's government to tackle MP salaries, so the system by which it showered honors on editors and owners, a practice to which we put an end with a rule that no serving editor could be honored, meaning should to have something to answer for. Whatever the past, it is Mr. Cameron who must lead the country to a better place. Mr. Miliband has shown himself capable of playing a good and principled part, and so should the public. Ultimately, political debate will only improve if the public wanted to, if they channel the anger at recent event into an assessment of what kind of paper they read, whether they really want to live on a diet of celebrity, trivia, negativity, and abuse. To coin a phrase, we are all in this together.